With every passing day of the Trump regime, it is becoming absolutely crystal clear that we in this country are headed towards revolution. And what do I mean by that? I mean that there is a collective awakening that is happening where we are beginning to understand that we all exist inside of a society where government is not only not built to work for us, but it is actually being designed and weaponized against us. And in order to understand where we are headed, dear friends, I thought that I would use the next couple of episodes of the Danielle Moodie Show to take a look back and give us a little history lesson into the making of a revolution that was stomped out by our government. All right, folks, let's get into it. Hello, Damnation, and welcome to the Danielle Moodie Show. As I stated at the top, it is clear with each passing day of the Trump regime that this country is headed towards revolution. And what do I mean by that? Well, I mean that Donald Trump and Elon Musk and their band of sycophants have decided that the government is not going to be run for and by the people, that instead the government is going to be run by a few elite and for the benefit of the elite. And I think that it is important as we are moving forward in this extraordinary moment in America's history to take a look back at a time when another revolution was building, and that is the Black Panther Party. And I want to talk to you today about this extraordinary movement in this extraordinary time in our history, one that has been distorted over generations. I can recall being in high school and my AP history teacher had said, you have to do a essay, a book report, if you will. Throwback book reports. Remember those? And he said, everyone gets to choose the topic that they want. I want you to be interested and excited about it. And then you're going to present it to me in the form of a book report, unpack the reason why you chose this topic, and then give me some deep understanding, right? I want to know more when I finish your report than when I started it. So I chose the Black Panther Party. This is 11th grade for me in high school. And my teacher said to me, why would you want to write about a group of terrorists? And I was stunned. And that made me want to write this paper even more because I felt that my white professor had an entirely different understanding of the Black Panther Party than what I had known to be true in my tiny bit of research that I had done prior to delving into this report. And so that I think that it's important as we're moving forward in this time where everyone keeps throwing around the word revolution to actually understand a group of revolutionaries that try to do something never heard of in America before. And before we dive in, dear friends, if you have not already done the good work of liking and subscribing to this channel, please do so now and feed the fairies inside of the algorithm. Let's grow Damnation as big as we possibly can. And that means that you share, like, comment, and subscribe. I appreciate you. Now, Let's dive into a little history lesson, shall we? So, the Black Panther Party was formed in 1966. This was an incredible time in America's history where there was an obscene amount of violence that was pouring over into our streets. Founded in 1966 in Oakland, California, the Black Panther Party for Self Defense was the era's most influential militant Black power organization. I think it's important for us to understand that the Black Panther Party was about providing Black people, the Black community, with access to all aspects of what it means to be a citizen of these United States. That includes the right to self defense, the right to bear arms. It was not an accident that they chose to dress in black leather coats, black berets, and carry weapons. It wasn't just, right, to show a sense of power, but of deep understanding of the fact that in order for Black people to see, right, and access all aspects of what it means to be an American citizen, that they are going to have to organize and they're going to have to fight for it. And like was said in the title, this was a movement about self defense against a government that was trying and eventually successfully did destroy it from the inside out. But what was really their goal, their mission? Here, its members confronted politicians, challenged the police, and protected Black citizens from brutality. The party's community service programs, called, quote, survival programs, provided food, clothing, and transportation. Rather than integrating American society, members wanted to change it fundamentally. For them, Black power was a global revolution. I know that many of you have probably seen t-shirts and sweatshirts that say Black Panther Free Food Program. That is exactly what the Black Panthers were doing. They were doing for the Black community what the government said that it would do, but never did. They believed that it was going to be up to us, Black people, to provide and defend for our community against a white nationalist government and system that was never going to see Black people as equal. And that our work was not to try and to assimilate inside of white society, which is what they believed that the civil rights movement was doing, but instead understand and build this sense of power around Blackness, around our beauty, around our people that was outside of the gaze of whiteness. And so, as I began to go deeper into my project, I said to myself, I never heard of an actual terrorist organization like, let's say, the Ku Klux Klan or the White Citizens Council providing any programs or services for poor white Americans. And yet, the parallels, the stories, the narrative that media and politicians try to draw between the Black Panther movement and the white supremacist movement was as if they were one and the same. Because the sheer presence of Black people owning their power and exercising their right to bear arms was a threat to the entire power structure of white nationalism and white supremacy. And rather than cower to what the Black Power movement felt that the civil rights movement was doing in order to again assimilate into white society, they said no. We're going to do for each other what the white power structure will never do. Because while they formed in 1966, post the Civil Rights Act, the year following, what founders like Huey Newton pictured here and Bobby Seale would say is that they saw no real changes outside of the South slowly lifting segregation. There was really no change in the day-to-day life of Black people across America. And so they were organizing a revolutionary party. Huey Newton and Bobby Seale, young political activists in Oakland, California, were disappointed in the failure of the civil rights movement to improve the condition of Blacks outside the South. They saw brutality against civil rights protesters as part of a long tradition of police violence and state oppression. They immersed themselves in the history of Blacks in America. In 1966, they organized young, poor, disenfranchised African Americans into the Black Panther Party. What's important here to understand is that violence against Black people, Black bodies, and Black communities is as American as apple pie. There has never been a time in America's history when Black people have not been brutally killed, tortured, living in fear. Now, we can say, well, so much changed post 1965, but I would argue, is that really so? Because while Donald Trump is currently reintroducing segregation, as we've talked about before, by saying that government contractors will no longer, right, be prohibited from creating segregated facilities, and that will not be a determinant as to whether or not they get a government contract. Let's say if they've been sued for discrimination prior, none of those things will this current regime take into consideration. If we live inside of a society where your success and health is dictated by your geography, by your zip code, and that largely we can make assumptions about the health and wellness and economic success and vitality of a community based on where they're situated, largely knowing that Black and brown people largely get the short end of the stick. How can we truly celebrate the advancements that have been made when you can look around this country and very well see where there are food deserts, education deserts, opportunity deserts, and that the people that are living in those areas are still largely Black and brown? And so while this movement was building, America, white America, those in power, again saw the Black Power movement as an affront, as a danger to white supremacy. And so, over the course of a few short years, what I will explore in this 3-part series on the Danielle Moodie Show is how a revolution was born, how it encouraged and enlightened the Black masses, and then how it was destroyed, and where we find ourselves in this present moment, where we are looking around once again and asking, who will lead us? But I think that in order to understand where we are headed, it is important for us to take a step back and understand where we came from. Because the erasure that is happening right now throughout our education system, throughout our institutions, of Black achievements and excellence, of the presence of women, other marginalized communities, queer people, the disabled, etc. The way that you continue to oppress people is by feeding them an image of themselves or lack thereof that gives them nothing to aspire to. And what the Black Panther Party was doing was creating a sense of faith and pride that white supremacy had been beating out of and squeezing out of Black people since they were brought to this country in shackles. The quickest way to dominate any group is to detach them from their history and then continue through the detachment of their humanity. The Black Power movement was not only a threat because they dared to bear arms, but they were not apologizing about their Blackness and they were not asking for acceptance. They were demanding equality. And here, as I close out, there is a fantastic short documentary that is up on YouTube entitled The Dawn of Black Power. And in it, Robert Woodson, president of the National Center for Neighborhood Enterprise, says this, quote, "The difference between the civil rights movement of 1954 to 1968 and the Black Power movement was that the civil rights movement sought equality with whites and was a middle class movement. The Black Power movement assumed equality of person and merely sought the opportunity to express that equality by saying, we are a proud people. We don't need you to tell us that." I am so excited about delving into this series with all of you. And I would love to get your thoughts on this series and the Black Panthers in general and what you have learned or not about them in your own teachings and learnings in school or outside of school. So do leave a comment for me and let me know what you've ever been taught, if anything at all, about the Black Panther Party. I'm glad that you're here for part one, and I'm excited to continue with this series. That is it for me today, dear friends, on the Danielle Moodie Show. As always, power to the people and to all the people power. Get woke, stay sane, and in these extraordinarily dangerous times, dear friends, do stay safe. I will see you back here tomorrow, 5 p.m. Eastern. Be well.